So right now, we're seeing a lot of concern trolling about the upcoming Direct. I'm seeing a lot of people make statements like, oh no, Nintendo has to hit it out of the park with this Direct. Otherwise, YouTubers won't take them seriously. Like, nobody cares about, or should care, about what some weirdo on YouTube has or Twitter has to say about anything. Okay, like I don't care what Arlo thinks. I don't care what RGT thinks. I don't care what Nintendo thinks. Like all of them can get bent. Okay, those guys need to just fuck off. I am tired of seeing them. I am tired of hearing their voices. We are at the point now where people in my community genuinely believe that Nintendo and Arlo are the same person, okay? Like, you really can't tell them apart. They have the same nasally voice. They complain about Nintendo incessantly. Like, you never see them on screen. Like, Arlo doesn't even do the puppet anymore. Like, you just see them, like, have the same talking points and do this thing. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't think Nintendo knows what they're doing anymore. Like, it is a complete farce. Like, Nintendo tried to produce a video today saying that it was more profitable to be positive towards Nintendo around the time that the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. And I had a good chuckle at that. You know, I was Knuckles the Echidna for a minute there. I was having a good chuckle. And chuckling like Knuckles. So, like, this guy just puts out the most delusional, insane, out there takes imaginable, and just tries to pass them off as if they're serious. Like, oh yes, these Nintendo YouTubers, they were positive towards the Switch 2 at first, but now they've turned on it because, they're just grifters. And it's just like, no, they were always critical towards Nintendo. They were always critical towards the Switch 2. They've always had these kind of beliefs about the release schedule. Like, you know, like, and again, this is the thing we've been seeing a lot of, right? You keep seeing these people insist that there are no games on Nintendo hardware, that nothing is coming out, that, like, everything is, like, failing, or that, like, everything is underperforming. And then you look at, like, the reality of the situation, and what you see is that, like, Nintendo's killing it. You know, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment did 1 million units, you know. Perfectly serviceable for a Warriors game, right? Actually, that's pretty good for a Warriors game. You know, you get, like, Kirby Air Riders, which is done really well. Bonanza, you know, Mario Kart World, over 10 million units. Like, again, the entire cope that, like, the Switch 2 sold poorly this holiday season has been debunked at this point. And yet you have these guys coming out and making their, like, insane talking points, trying to say that, like, the console is failing or that people are, like, apprehensive about this. Like, and I do think this is what needs to be said at this point. Okay, because you're going to see this happen, like, no matter what happens in Nintendo Direct. Nintendo YouTubers are going to complain no matter what, because that is their literal job. That is their literal job, okay? They will cry about Nintendo. They will whine about Nintendo. They will hyperventilate about Nintendo. They will scream about Nintendo until they're blue in the face. You know, they will run blogs that no one reads for 20 years, trying to gaslight you into thinking Super Mario Bros. 3 was the last good Nintendo game ever made. You know, like, these guys are so desperate to try and paint this narrative that, like, the Nintendo Switch 2, like, doesn't have a lot of exciting upcoming games. You know, like, and it's just like, even if you look at the release schedule now, okay, like, you have, like, so many things to look forward to. You know, Resident Evil 9, Pragmata, Monster Hunter Stories 3, you got Rhythm Heaven, Tomodachi Life, which, again, is way bigger than most people realize. You know, you have, like, all these banger titles, and the reality that the Nintendo Direct could literally drop, like, whatever, you know? Like, you have so many people, like trying to say that, like, oh, they don't have any games, nothing is good, I don't enjoy anything because I have no soul, like, I don't enjoy anything other than porn and gacha games, you know? Like, you have these guys seriously sitting there, like, damage controlling everything Nintendo does. You know, we've had, like, 2 directs in the past couple of days, right? We had the Mario Galaxy Movie Direct, which was great. That was Kino. Plenty of stuff to talk about. And then we had, like, the Tomodachi Life Direct, which is coming up soon. So, like, we have 2 major directs, right? And like the narrative right now is that like, oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about Tamagotchi. I don't care about the Mario movie. And it's just like at a certain point, you have to just kind of acknowledge that like, what exactly did these people want? Because it can't be a Mario or a Zelda game because we've already gotten titles associated with those brands. It can't be like mature oriented games because we're getting plenty of those. Day and date with other consoles. It can't be like this or that because there's plenty of things on the console already. Like the Switch 2 is already a success, and what we're seeing is people in denial about it. People who will scream until they're blue in the face that there's nothing to play on Switch 2, that it's a complete failure of a console, and that there's like nothing to look forward to, and like they're literally announcing things every month. Like there's literally like announcements on Twitter right now. They literally just patched in new content for Donkey Kong Country Returns. They just gave Kirby Air Riders a new Grand Prix mode. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's nothing to play. Like, there's plenty of stuff to play. Splatoon 3 is getting a new update. Like, these games have stayed relevant over time. And that's my problem with this, honestly. As someone who, like, over the past, like, year or so has been streaming, like, 8 hours a day, okay? I've been streaming regularly, playing my Switch 2 a lot. My play hour time will attest to that. I've been playing a lot of Nintendo consoles. When you look at, like, my playtime on Switch 2, like, I'm playing all sorts of things. I'm playing RPGs, I'm playing older games, I'm playing new games, like, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of my Switch 2. Like, I put, like, 2,000 hours into this thing. Well, not quite 2,000. Probably a little bit less than that because the first half of the year, but, like, over 1,000 hours on this thing, okay? Playing my Switch 2, okay? Playing multiplats, playing Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives, playing, like, classic games. Like, and again, like, when you put that much time into a console, like, for any reason, like, the entire narrative that, like, the console has no games becomes laughably stupid. Okay? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because what these people have to do is that they have to downplay the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives. They have to downplay Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders by saying that they're too niche to be relevant. They're not a Mario and Zelda game. They have to downplay the multiplats because supposedly they aren't as good as other consoles, even though they are exactly the same. They have to complain about the indie games. They have to complain about like classic older Nintendo games. They have to downplay the entire backlog of Nintendo Switch 1 games, many of which are getting upgraded better versions on Switch 2 with additional content. And this is the situation we're in. Is that Nintendo has made all these banger moves, done all of these things to make this console incredibly successful and popular, and yet, like, we're seeing the community just in denial about it. We're seeing them sit there and do the courage the cowardly dog thing, where they're just like, I don't like this. I want this. Oh, but I don't want that. Like, they are just looking for reasons to complain. And when you take that into consideration, when you really ask yourself, like, what exactly do these people want, the conclusion you inevitably come to is that there isn't anything you could possibly do to make these people happy. Because at the end of the day, what they actually genuinely want is for Nintendo to fail. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. That's what their content's oriented for. Like, there's nothing they could possibly do to enjoy Nintendo. They're too hyper fixated on like this image of like Nintendo being this evil company, and they don't want to support them. Like, it's an image that needs to die, honestly. Like, there's no reason to think that the Switch 2 is failing. There's no reason to think that the Nintendo Direct is going to be bad, or that like it's not going to be underwhelming, like that it's going to be underwhelming, or that there's not going to be a direct. Like, everything we've seen from the community seems to indicate that like people are just spurging out about nothing. And that really does need to be said, is that like, even if there's no direct next month, right? So what? Like, nothing's going to change because there's still plenty of games coming out. There's plenty of reasons to pick up Switch 2. There's going to be games later in the year. There's going to be a direct later on down the line. So the idea that like Nintendo needs a direct right now is laughably stupid and should be dismissed Bye, everyone.